Hello, hello, hello. It's not a good sign because I did just sneeze. I'm going to hope that I don't have to again. But we do need to see if this is working. Hello, hello, hello. All right. It is working. And I will say that this should be a pretty massive. We're here for our weekly Ring of Honor TV review. Episode number 124 to be exact. We're also here to provide a preview and predictions for the Ring of Honor pay-per-view coming up tomorrow night. By the time you're seeing this, it might be tonight. By the time you're seeing this, it might have already happened. But Supercard of Honor, we have waited months upon months for this show. It got rescheduled, and it's happening. Let's say we want to reschedule it again, which if that's the case, I'll be pissed. I'll crash out, but I don't think that's going to happen. That'd be very stupid and kind of difficult to do. Regardless, a preview for the Supercard of Honor event taking place, as well as a preview and predictions for AEW All In taking place this Saturday. So we got 3 tasks to do in this video. We're going to start it off. I'm going to try my best to put timestamps. I should be able to put timestamps. We're going to go through episode 124 of Ring of Honor on HonorClub / YouTube. This was a free episode that they put on YouTube and was uploaded early. And on that rare occasion, I did watch this live when it was uploaded. So there's that. We're going to go through episode 124 of ROH on HonorClub. We're going to preview what has been announced for Supercard of Honor as of right now. During the filming of this, hopefully, they announce more stuff and I could talk about it instead of having to comment it. But as always, if things are added or changed, I try my best to do it in a timely manner to comment my thoughts on it down below. Then we'll talk about AEW All In taking place this Saturday. So, that being said, we're 2 minutes and 35 seconds in, and we're starting TV review portion. So, I will also say this. I know that stuff, because I'm trying my best to research, quote unquote. And I do know that they have already filmed matches for next week's Ring of Honor TV or a future episode of Ring of Honor TV. I don't know who wins those matches, which is good. I wasn't spoiled, but I do know at least they have taped some stuff. Because again, when they do these pay-per-view weeks, the schedule is very convoluted and complicated. It's tough to film certain stuff, etc., especially Ring of Honor. It's kind of, not their main priority to film during these weeks. It's mainly AEW related stuff, but I do know stuff is being filmed for future Ring of Honor projects. Let's put it that way. I would imagine future ROH TV episodes. So, episode number 124. This was a quicker episode, but I have 2 pages worth of notes, so let's get right through it. The opening contest was the Spanish announced project taking on Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. Atlantis and Angelico start this match off with the early advantage going to the pair of Atlantises after a corner, splash, and backbreaker on Serpentico. Later on, Atlantis Jr. is knocked off the top rope after being distracted by Angelico. Then Atlantis Jr. fights off the SAP while following it up with a corner 10-count punch. Then Angelico is thrown over the top rope with Atlantis Jr. hitting a frog splash on Serpentico, meaning that Atlantis Jr. and Atlantis picked up the victory. Then our Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito has a promo in the backstage area, and he accepts the challenge of Takeshita, and that is what I would imagine is the main event match at Supercard of Honor, but it is the Ring of Honor World Title match. Bandito defending against Konosuke Takeshita. Why he has just now accepted this, I don't really know. We've kind of known this for a couple of weeks, but I was second at guessing it. But he does mention that Takeshita is kind of bringing it. This matchup is kind of the saying of bringing a knife to a knife to a shootout. I think it's a gunfight is the same. I think he said a shootout. I don't know. I was very confused by it. But at least we got an appearance from the world champion. Next matchup. This, I will admit, I was a bit perplexed by. I was a bit shocked by it. But Aaron Solo versus Adam Priest. We get no code of honor. We get a bunch of headlock takeovers early from both competitors. Then the match slows down once Adam Priest is slammed on the apron while he, throughout the match, was working over Aaron Solo's leg and knee and ankle area. And Aaron Solo attempts a foot stomp, but Priest moves out of the way. So Solo is affected by this. And then Priest wins the matchup with a single leg Boston Crab. Now, why? I was like, why am I so surprised by this? First of all, I think Adam Priest is very good. I even wrote down in my side note, impressive performance. I didn't expect him to win. A great majority of times, and this might be the first time that it's ever happened on ROH. I doubt it. I really doubt it. I don't want to go on the record of saying it. But very rarely is there a matchup where one of the competitors does not get an entrance while the other competitor does, and they win the match. So Adam Priest did not get an entrance for this, and he won the match. So I was a bit shocked by this. I did expect Aaron Solo to win, but he didn't. Adam Priest won. Now, the Dark Order, we were supposed to have a frat house initiation, which I was a bit confused by what this is exactly supposed to be, but I kind of somewhat understand what happened. But it's a frat house initiation. We thought that we were going to get the Dark Order and frat house match that has been building up for weeks upon months right now, but the frat house said no, we're not doing that, and they sent some of their pledges to fight off the Dark Order, and the Dark Order made quick work of them, so quick that it was blink. I literally stepped out of the room for 15-ish seconds. I don't know the competitors' names. I should have rewound it, but the point is, by the time I would have rewound it, the amount of time, this was quick. It was over and done with. This is the point that I make it here. So the Dark Order made easy work of the Frat House's pledges, but if you really want to see that Frat House and Dark Order matchup, the Dark Order say that they will be facing the Frat House at Supercard of Honor, and Griff Garrison will be at this. You want to kick out? What if this is what happened? What if they do the match and then just restart? I feel like everybody get pissed about that. Regardless. The Infantry are in the backstage area talking about their upcoming tag team title match where they are interrupted by their tag team title opponents, the Sons of Texas. Sammy Guevara kind of mentions something very interesting here. He said that for the past year, everyone has told them, hey, you should defend against the Infantry. You should face the Infantry. So how good are the Infantry if they finally get this big shot, this title opportunity, and they lose? You know, this is a big opportunity for them, and they don't need to mess it up. They do call Sammy and Dustin grandson and grandpa at one point, and Dustin does not really get shook by this. He's kind of very salty towards the Infantry, and he's more so disappointed in the Infantry because he knew what these two men once stood for and does not now. Match: Rachel Ellering versus Deonna Purrazzo. It's another week where they tell us, oh, the women's pure tournament's coming up. I hope y'all are excited for the women's pure tournament. And I've said it time and time again. I'm not one of those people because they just need to let the damn thing happen. And I don't think that if they don't care to put the effort into it, why should I care? It's one of those things. I'm getting a bit salty about the whole thing. But at least this was a good matchup. A Pure Rules match with Rachel Ellering and Deonna Purrazzo. Also, if you're going to do a Pure Rules match, you need the judges at ringside. You need Jerry Lynn at ringside. That way I could do that, and it makes sense. Because now I did it, and it didn't make that much damn sense. But Pure Rules match, Rachel Ellering versus Deonna Purrazzo. It is back and forth early with Deonna getting the advantage. And then playing an arm break that uses up first rope break attempt. Then Ellering hits a impressive brainbuster that gets a close 2 count. Then Deonna wins the match up off of a Fujora armbar. So Deonna, I'm trying to combine it there. Deonna Purrazzo picks up another victory in the Pure Rules division. Speaking of women in Ring of Honor, probably the most important woman in Ring of Honor history, the longest reigning Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Athena, is backstage, and she calls out Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa got this title shot because she has not done anything in Ring of Honor except for bitch, moan, and complain, while she has been carrying Ring of Honor on her back for 3+ years, and that she doesn't think that Thunder Rosa will be able to handle doing that and handle that responsibility. But they have a matchup coming up, so we will be able to see that when it happens. But now we got one more matchup on this episode of ROH TV. The Grizzled Young Veterans and the Premier Athletes teaming up to take on the Sons of Texas and the Von Erichs. I've said it. I will say, spoiler alert, Sons of Texas and Von Erichs win. And when they win, Justin Roberts said, the Sons of Texas. And I have said time and time again, it would make sense if, like, as a collective, as a group, if they were called the Sons of Texas, because they're all from Texas, but not the majority of the times when they've said it, it's just been for Sammy and Dustin. It's me overanalyzing. But this is also, I locked in for this. I don't like saying lock in, you need to lock in all that stuff, but when we get these, like, 8-man tag matches, a lot of times it's very repetitive and not a lot happens until like the last 2-ish minutes. I locked in. I took a lot of notes on this match. Sammy and Tony start the matchup off with a flex off, and then Ross Von Erich is trapped in his opponent's corner and even gets stomped out on the outside as well. Dustin then tags in and tries to hit Mark Sterling with the Shattered Dreams, which Nice steps in the way of it, but Sterling is still stuck in the corner for a long time, and eventually his dreams are shattered and he gets kicked in the no-no area. We got a double iron claw by the Von Erichs on the Grizzled Young Veterans, while this is followed up with a Sammy Guevara dive to the outside onto them, and then Dustin in the ring hits the final cut on Arya Daivari to pick up the win for the Ring of Honor Tag Team and 6-man Tag Team Champions. And that is the go-home episode of Ring of Honor on HonorClub. As now we are here. This I will 110%. Outside of the promos that we got, these matches really didn't have any effect on the show. I will say that. I think you could understand that as well. The promos that we got, because we got the Athena promo, we got the Bandito Infantry promo. We got a recap for Beat Lee Moriarty at Global Wars. Other than that, a terrible go-home episode, if you just want me to be honest, because nothing really built up to this Supercard of Honor event. Now, I'm going to try my damnedest to not complain for this whole time. I'm going to try my best. But I can't control that or, say that that's not going to be the case, as I've already messed up on the timestamps. I wrote the wrong time down. All right, we're going to 12:45. 12:30. So, as someone that watches and reviews and talks about Ring of Honor every week, oh boy, I can't have him up here. What if he showed up at All In? I doubt that's going to happen. As someone that watches Ring of Honor every week, I will admit I am still salty over the situation that happened with Supercard of Honor. Because if you remember, Supercard of Honor was supposed to take place in May. And then they postponed it the week before. Legitimately the week before. And never gave any reasoning for it. You could say low ticket sales, even though I don't really think that was the case. I think they had okay tickets. They definitely had worse ticket sales before. So I don't think that was the case. Or the other case and scenario that was thrown out was they didn't have anything planned for this show. Which if that is the case, that is disappointing and a bunch of bullshit. I'm still a bit salty on it. I need to put that in the past because it's right here. The show is right here about to happen. But what I'm about to say, and the main thing that I've been saying, is that they've had an extra 2 months to build up this show. And I was like, the main positive I could take from this is that they could build up and put care into this show. And hey, you know what I was talking to y'all earlier about this women's pure title tournament? They were talking about this 2 months ago. And I was like, they could have this pure title tournament, start it off and start it back then 2 months ago, and finish it here at Supercard of Honor. They ain't even started it still. Like, WTF. WTF. Point being, a lot of these matches on the show haven't really had a build. Don't really have a storyline. Most of it has been multi-person tag matches happening on AEW TV, and we're going to split it off for a one-on-one matchup to happen at this show. So, while I am coming off very negative about this, I'm trying not to be. That is the best way that I guess I could label it. But also, we're less than 24 hours away from this show, and we have 6 matches announced. They have a lot of. They actually don't have a lot of time left to announce it. So I will be checking in. Hopefully, while I'm filming this, something else gets added. But also, the other thing, they didn't have to sell tickets to this. Because if you wanted to go to this event, you had to buy the all-in bundle pass or whatever the hell they called that shit. This was also supposed to be Death Before Dishonor, by the way. Supercard of Honor was supposed to be in May. This was supposed to be Death Before Dishonor. So, there's that as well. So, I will say this. This is on the Wikipedia page for the show. That is hilarious that I am facing a real person because most of the time I'm facing bots. If this is the real Adam Cole, I would shit my pants, but I feel like his name is the Chug, so I don't think it is. Regardless, backtracking. Earlier in the week, and this is something that I even tweeted this out. I even posted on X about this because it did have me a bit. Another thing that had me salty. Oh my god, I wanted to do a freaking asshole. This did have me salty. Red Velvet is out with an injury, so hopefully Red Velvet gets healthy. Now the issue here is that they're crowning an interim Ring of Honor Women's TV Champion. And I've told y'all time and time again that the Ring of Honor Women's TV Championship is probably the lowest tiered title in the company. I was not a fan when they announced this title. I still don't really know why it is here, etc. And the fact that we're getting an interim champion for this drives me a bit insane. But the problem here is that they announced that there's plans for an interim champion. I don't know who the hell is it going to be, but it is on the Wikipedia page that there's going to be an interim women's TV title matchup, which again, this is just a mouthful because it was already kind of a lot to say women's TV champion. Now you got to say interim women's TV champion. So this matchup is supposed to take place. Who is going to be? I wouldn't mind if it was Queen Aminata. I'm kind of wanting her to win a championship, especially in Ring of Honor, because she's kind of one of the main competitors that's here on a somewhat regular basis that has stepped up. So I wouldn't mind it being her, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. So that is on the Wikipedia. I can't give you much else though. Next. This is on the Wikipedia. This is announced on the show. There's not an official match graphic for it. I'm one of those people that care about the match graphics, but there's not one of those yet for this match. But again, this is legitimately, and it's depressing to say this, the only match that has a build and has a storyline. The Dark Order versus the Frat House. The Dark Order are not happy with that their former stablemate Preston Vance has joined up with the Frat House, and they think that the group is annoying. And Preston Vance wants them to move on, and the Frat House want them. They don't like the Dark Order, and so it's just a clash of styles and groups. But I do expect the Dark Order to win this matchup. So let me worry about Adam Cole because he's going to come after me, as I did miss. I'm glad that somebody still plays this mode. It's not just me. As I missed. Got one. Ty, and if you're not going to hit him, don't... Oh, baby, thank you, Ty. Thank you. That's funny. Please do not... Please do not hit me with this bomb. I'm scared. So I'm picking the Dark Order to win this matchup. Next TV title match, there's kind of been a build to this because Nick Wayne is taking on Teton. Now, the build to this is that these two men competed against each other in the Best of Super Juniors tournament in New Japan, and Teton beat Nick Wayne, which cost him the chance of winning the tournament. Then, at Global Wars Mexico a couple weeks ago, they had another match. They had a Proving Ground match, to be exact. and Teton lasts the 10-minute time limit, meaning that he earned a future title shot that will be taking place here. But I do not expect to see Teton on Ring of Honor regularly. I don't even. It's kind of difficult to say I see Nick Wayne on Ring of Honor TV regularly because that's not really the case. But I think Nick Wayne's going to win this. He's already lost to him once. He doesn't need to lose to him twice. So I'm picking Nick Wayne. Pure title match: Lee Moriarty versus Blue Panther. An almost identical, very similar situation happened here at Global Wars Mexico. Blue Panther defeated Lee Moriarty in the main event, and then it earned him a pure title match. But it's another situation where I don't expect to see Blue Panther on Ring of Honor regularly, so I'm expecting Lee Moriarty to retain. And hopefully we see a lot more of Lee Moriarty on Ring of Honor programming. So I'm picking Lee Moriarty to pick up the victory. Now, this is a matchup that you really have to think, who do you see winning this? Tag team title match. The Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, defending against Shane Taylor Promotions, the Infantry. And I've been on record of saying when they won the number one contendership, and I've kind of said it, I've said it before then, but I mainly said it last week. I really hope the Infantry win. I'm picking the Infantry to win. The fact that Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara have had a Ring of Honor tag team title reign going on almost a whole year. We're very close to it. It's not a year exactly, but we're right there at them being tag team champions for a year. And I think that should not happen, and that should not be the case. And the Infantry, again, are talent that are regularly on Ring of Honor TV. So I think it'd be nice to see them get rewarded, and I'm picking the Infantry to win this matchup. I will admit the major concern here is that this whole damn weekend we're in Texas, and that group, the tag team, is literally known as the Sons of Texas. So there's a bit of a concern there that, we got to get the hometown pop, the hometown advantage for Sammy and Dustin. And I don't have a problem with Dustin. I like Dustin Rhodes. He's got 2 damn Ring of Honor titles, which, again, I think is a bit crazy. But I'm going to pick the Infantry to win this. I think it's time for a change, and it should go to 2 guys that are regularly on the program and are very good and deserving as well. So I'm picking the Infantry to win this matchup. Next, Ring of Honor Women's Championship match. This should be very interesting and very hard-hitting. Athena once again defending against, or not once again, but she's once again defending, but she is facing and defending against Thunder Rosa, both who are from Texas. And the other thing that I will say is that in that Athena promo earlier in the show, she mentioned that Thunder Rosa, she says she's from Texas, she says she's from Mexico, she says she's from everywhere. So they kind of confused me, but it's one of those things. Behind every joke's a little bit of truth. So I guess Thunder Rosa is from Texas as well. I think she is. And both of these people wanted to really compete this weekend because, again, they're from Texas. It kind of is a fit setting. How do I say that? A fitting place for this matchup to take place. But I have not picked against Athena Okay. Have I ever picked against Athena in my pay-per-view predictions? I don't think I have. I'm not going to go on record to say that I haven't, but I don't think that I have. But, I'm picking Athena to win this. Let's just, call a spade a spade. I'm picking Athena to win this matchup. As of now, we got one more match as of right now to go through. We're going to take a small break. That way I can, look to see if anything has been changed or updated, I will say. But as of right now, the last matchup to talk about, bro, he's sniping. I was kind of dumb in doing that. One more match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And, this might be an asshole take and asshole thing to say, but I want to say it. The matchup I'm looking forward to the most. Definitely on this show, the asshole thing of me saying the matchup I'm looking forward to all weekend. For the Ring of Honor World Championship, Bandito defending against Konosuke Takeshita. I want to keep it short and simple. I do think this is going to be a great match. It should be match of the night on this show. Me keeping it short and simple. Kadosa Takeshita is about to be in the G1 Climax and is not regularly on Ring of Honor programming, which I've said about almost all these matches. But more so, he's legitimately about to be gone from ROH TV and AEW TV by virtue for about a month being in the G1 Climax. And I don't think that they would want their Ring of Honor World Champion to do that. It's not impossible. It's not like hell no, but I don't see it happening. I think Bandito is going to retain. I anticipate Bandito retaining. So I'm going to pick Bandito to win this matchup. So I'm going to go look right now to see as of right now, has anything else been added to this, to Supercard of Honor at least. Check out Wikipedia. It's last updated 2 hours ago. So we got 7 matches as of right now. Going to Twitter, our source, X/Twitter. Does anybody call this X? Has anything been changed here? Where the hell is Dalton Castle? Y'all remember when he came back in the spaceship, the UFO? Where the hell is Dalton Castle? Is he going to make an appearance? That would be nice if he did. So, nothing as of right now has been added or changed to Supercard of Honor, but if something does happen, I will try my best to comment my thoughts on it down below. Because now we got to talk about the big one. The bigger one, I guess you could say, to be exact. AEW All In Texas. I'm going to give y'all, I've got a lot of hot takes, but I got one specifically, and this one might bother some people. Tony Khan has been on record of saying, or he's talked about it this week. I'm going to get a swig of Diet Dr. Pepper first. But he's talked about this week that next year's All In should be back in London and at Wembley Stadium. I'm going to be the last one to say that they should not do that. I don't think that this is going to change because it's just one person's opinion. Maybe other people share it. I don't think it's going to change. I hate the idea of them going back to Wembley Stadium next year for All In. They need to give it a break. They could go back to London. They're doing that literally for the next pay-per-view they're doing. So I'm not saying they shouldn't do any shows in London at all, but I just feel that for your biggest show of the year, you should make it a touring attraction. And you're not just going to the same place over and over again. Also, someone that is very organized and OCD. I would think it would look very fucked up if you got 2 in London, 1 in Texas, back to London. Like we understand what happened there, but I don't like it. You know, I have to get this off my chest. I would like them to go somewhere else for next year's All In event. Unless this, if this show, blows everything out of the water and is, the greatest thing ever, I could understand them going back to Texas. It's kind of it's kind of like what they're doing at WrestleMania, but WrestleMania did not blow shit out of the water. So, it's kind of like it, kind of not. But I think I hope y'all understand the point that I'm getting at. Granted, I don't really have, set place that they should go for next year, but I'm not the biggest fan of them going back to London. They should wait a while before they do that. But this is just one man's opinion. But this is a highly talked about show. Obviously the biggest show of the year for AEW. There's a shit ton of things to discuss, a shit ton of fantasy booking scenarios per se. So as of right now, there are 11 matches set for this show. Again, things could change. I'm typing it in right now because I only looked up Supercard of Honor. So, the first matchup to talk about. This is confirmed on the 0 hour. A rematch of a big matchup that took place on Collision last week, I believe. This is last updated an hour ago. Okay, at least 2 matches are on this pre-show. Maybe they might add something. I think they should put one more match on the pre-show, but I'm not booking it. Granted, FTR versus the Outrunners. I think it's difficult. This one's difficult to predict, I will admit. Because I feel that FTR have like such momentum going on and are doing great right now that I've lost on, again, the biggest show of the year would hurt them. So that's kind of the difficult spot. But I also don't understand why they would run this match back and have the same exact result. So I think I'm going to go with the Outrunners to win. Maybe somebody comes out to help them and even the odds and takes out Big Stoke. I can't like sit here and like cope and think of who could do it, but I think the Outrunners are going to win, and I think it in the big stadium, big arena, we get a big reaction because people do like the Outrunners. But if FTR won, I don't think I would complain. Now, a massive tag team matchup announced on Collision. Also, y'all, I'm going to say y'all. Now, I'm not talking about every single one, but there's been a lot of talk about counter programming. This is a side talk from All In. I don't know why AEW chose to counter program tonight with a live episode of Collision, the same time of NBA Summer League and Cooper Flagg's first NBA game, technically, because I was having to flip back and forth and watching that, and I had to lock in to Collision to like see if anything was changed for All In because I knew I was doing this video. So I don't think I missed anything, and the main reason I'm saying this is because I did not miss this. A massive announcement for the 0 Hour. Big Boom AJ is back. He himself reunited the conglomeration and added members, and it's a big reunion. So the conglomeration consisting of Big Boom AJ, the Rizzler was also there, Kyle O'Reilly for one time only, potentially might come back for more, but at least for All In, Kyle O'Reilly, Hologram, and Tomohiro Ishii. I would love to look at the conglomeration's Wikipedia page. There's probably more members in it than I expect. But they're taking on the Don Callis family. Big Boom AJ does not lose. Hologram also does not freaking lose. They got a lot going on their side, so I'm going to expect the conglomeration, Big Boom AJ, all of them, to win this matchup. So I love the 0 Hour, by the way. It's because it's free. Everybody can watch it. It sets the tone for the show. And y'all know me, I love free. So that's why I always like when they put a bunch of shit onto the 0 Hour. I did not like last year's 0 Hour for All In. I felt that was a little bit too much outside of Jamie Hayter's return. Love Jamie Hayter. Hopefully she returns here. But y'all get the point I'm making. So maybe something else gets added. I don't know. It's also a case of this is the biggest show of the year, and I'm not against everybody being involved and put onto the show. I know that in doing that, it makes shit long as hell and, not as meaningful. But, if I was there and I was not on the show, I would feel pretty damn salty and, pretty shitty. So I got all night to watch it. I don't know if everybody else does. So that's just me rambling. So we got 2 Casino Gauntlet matches to talk about. It is difficult because the thing with the Casino Gauntlet is you don't know who the hell's going to enter, who the hell is going to win, and when the hell is going to end. So this is a good concept. I'm also kind of glad that they didn't just like spam. Like last year, we got a bunch of them in a row, where now they're not doing as many, and they're trying to make it feel more special. So maybe they start to spam them after this, and, we get a lot more. But I'm glad that they kind of took a break from it, and that way it feels special for them to do it on All In. So the women's one, again, the women's one's difficult to predict because we only know Chris Statlander and Megan Bayne. At least the men, we know a little bit more. If I had to pick for the women's one, I'm rooting for Chris Statlander to win. Again, there's only 2 people in it right now, but I'm going to pick Chris. I'm going to have an official prediction, and then I'm going to have like a surprise entry prediction that I would want to win. So for the women, my official prediction will be Chris Statlander. My surprise entry prediction / return prediction is Jamie Hayter, especially I don't know Jamie Hayter's injury severity. And, I'd love to see her back. And, I would have rather seen her in this women's title match, but, I understand how the cookie crumbles here. But it'd be nice to see her get a title shot at Forbidden Door. But again, I don't know if that's going to be possible. That's just me spitballing at the moment. So I'm going to have Jamie Hayter / Chris Statlander. wouldn't be against Chris Statler getting a title shot as well. So that's my 2 predictions there. Now, for the men's side, again, we have more people announced. We have Mystico, Brody King, Mark Briscoe, MJF, and Ricochet. I would love if Mark Briscoe won this. I doubt that he will win it. It's very rarely MJF loses on pay-per-view or loses in general. So, official prediction, I'm going to say MJF because it's just the easy prediction. But surprise entry / return entry, I would love it if Jay White was to win this and to make his return, because it has been a while since we have seen him. I know that he's been out with injury, but he needs a big win. I would like it if he returned and got a big win here. So I'm going to pick, my official prediction is MJF. Surprise return entry to win it would be Jay White. Now, tag team title matchup. Speaking of MJF, his group, the Hurt Syndicate, be defending their tag team titles against Christian Cage and Nick Wayne and Jet Speed. I will admit, I've not been the biggest fan, because this rivalry this build to this matchup has essentially been the Hurt Syndicate beating the shit out of Jet Speed, and then Jet Speed not backing away from it, and Christian Cage saying, yeah, I would actually like to be tag team champions. Now, this week, they kind of like wrapped a bow on it and made it, hey, we're all supposed to be involved in this match, so I kind of appreciate that. This, I will admit, I think that any team could win this matchup. Going back to what I was saying about MJF, he very rarely loses on pay-per-view, and for the Hurt Syndicate, when they've competed on pay-per-view, they have not lost. So I'm going to go with the Hurt Syndicate to win this. I said I could see any of these teams picking up this victory. I wouldn't be against them losing. That way we could see them potentially doing something else, something different, but I don't know off the top of my head of what exactly that could be. So there is that as well. Now, we do have to talk about another tag team title match. The Trios tag team titles are on the line. The Ops taking on the Death Riders / Gabe Kidd. I don't think that Gabe Kidd is an official member of the Death Riders, but he definitely fits the group. So there's that. And as I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and this is funny as hell, it says the Death Riders and Gabe Kidd. So I think that answers that question. But Wikipedia, not always the most reliable source. Again, it's another scenario where I could go back and forth with it. If I go back to how I was predicting the Ring of Honor matches, Gabe Kidd, again, he's about to be in the G1 Climax. A lot of time at AEW history, they have not cared about the Trios titles, to be exact. So it's not like, oh, Gabe Kidd's not there, the Trios titles, etc. And they also could just find another person to be in the group. This matchup, again, I will admit, I could see either side winning it. I don't think... I think that the Death Riders winning it would be like such a we don't want to lead to me picking the Ops. Granted, we got a more important and bigger matchup involving a Death Riders member to talk about a little bit later, where I don't know if I necessarily share that same sentiment. But I think I'm going to go with the Ops to win. I could see either side winning, though. Now, one tag match to talk about, where there's no titles on the line, but major implications are. The Young Bucks taking on Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. I will admit, it's kind of insane that two of the biggest stars in the company are in a tag match at All In. Granted, and just look at the main event of WrestleMania 40 last year, and there was no titles on the line in that main event, the first one night at least. Regardless, I have seen several people defending and talk about, I think the Young Bucks should win this. I'm going to tell y'all this now. I am not one of those people. I don't like that the Young Bucks are quote unquote EVPs and sometimes can make changes and sometimes could just make rules and do things to benefit. I don't like that. Either they need to go full blown with it and do it all the time or not at all. So that they've now presented the idea of, yeah, they're going to take it away. I am for that. Please do that. Where I've seen a lot of people talk about the opposite side where we don't need Swerve and Ospreay, the world title hunt, We got so many other people we could put in the world title hunt that, the Young Bucks should win. I absolutely hate that idea. I don't like that whatsoever. So I'm picking Swerve and Ospreay to win this. If they don't, I will be pretty pissed about it. And again, I don't think that they should forcibly fuck over their world title scene. Now, it is weird because in AEW history, they've already done that once with Cody Rhodes. But more so, what makes it different, because with Cody Rhodes, that was forever. In this instance, it's a year. Now, in wrestling history, there's probably happened a couple of times, but the main one that comes to mind is AJ Styles in TNA in 2012 when he lost to James Storm and Bobby Roode were in the match. I think James Storm won the match, but Bobby Roode, it was a triple threat, and AJ got pinned, so he could no longer challenge for the world title for a year. And what the hell happened? Literally, till next year's Bound for Glory, which essentially was a year if we're just, actually rounding and estimating. Point being, once that year was done and Bound for Glory came, AJ won the title. So, first of all, they can't share winning the world title. I don't think that Swerve anytime soon is going to be world champion again. If he is, I'm not against it, but I think there's a lot of people in line to be world champion or scratching and clawing to be world champion to where I don't, and we just, have seen Swerve challenge for the world title this year on pay-per-view. It's more so about Ospreay. And a lot of people, again, when I was talking about earlier, they're going to be in Wembley and London next year for All In. They are trying to pencil in an already fantasy book, Ospreay winning the world title there, which I think y'all just need to calm down a little bit. I think y'all just trying to be too ahead of the curve. But, I kind of understand it, and I think that way as well. So there is that. My point is, I think it would be, again, another major groan if Swerve and Ospreay, again, two of the most over stars and biggest stars in the company, lose at the biggest show of the year. And I already told y'all that I don't like this half-ass thing where the Young Bucks sometimes can make rules and changes and are EVPs and, can do what they want. And then sometimes they can't. I don't know. Again, it's half-assed. It is very half-assed. They should continuously, every week, do everything to benefit them. And that's not been the case. So now that you've presented the idea of just taking it away completely, I am for that. So I'm picking Ospreay and Swerve to win this matchup. And if they don't, that would be the most pissed I'd be on the show. But time will tell. Also, people celebrating what Swerve winning. Swerve has not won at an All In, by the way. I think, let's change that. So I'm picking Swerve and Ospreay to win this matchup. Now, TNT title match. Adam Cole defending against Kyle Fletcher. I'm not the biggest Kyle Fletcher fan, but I'm also not the biggest Kyle Fletcher hater. I understand the hype behind him, and I love Adam Cole. I've always loved Adam Cole, but it kind of sucks. I'm very much expecting a title change here. I'm picking Kyle Fletcher to win. A lot of varying opinions on this matchup, and it's mainly, Kyle Fletcher should just beat the shit out of Adam Cole. He kind of did that on TV already, and, I didn't like it then. I don't think I'm going to like it here as well, but I'm expecting Kyle Fletcher to win. I'm not going to be that salty about it, but, I'd rather Adam Cole win if I'm just being honest. But I'm expecting Kyle Fletcher to win. Whew! Now we got the big three, the ones that are on the poster and the thumbnail of this video. Women's title match. Timeless Toni Storm defending against the TBS Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament winner and the holder of 10 other championships, Mercedes Moné. I just said about Kyle Fletcher. I'm not the biggest Mercedes Moné fan, but I'm also not the biggest hater. I will admit, this is a hot take. I'm over the belt collector gimmick. If it is, there's a lot of ways I could put this. I think, if you cannot name, this is fitting. If you cannot name every one of the championships, and again, she has like 9. I don't know how many it is right now. Again, this is helping my argument. If you can't name every single one of them, then I feel that, we went a little bit too far. We jumped the shark a long ass time ago. And I don't think that AEW should allow their biggest women's championship and the women's championship to be thrust into that and to make it, in quote unquote, just another title. I don't like the idea of all those other ones, all the other titles being involved, etc. The argument that I was making here, by the way, what's the argument I was making? Oh, my hot take. If you're going to do the belt collector gimmick, it should be 3 championships, or at least defended on a regular basis. Granted, Mercedes Moné, I don't know how often she's defended the other titles. She's defended the TBS title a lot, but granted, I'm not going out of my other way to watch the other promotions. I am with AEW. But I think 3 should be the limit. When FTR did it in 2022, they had 3. They defended the 3 regularly. Boom, it worked. Kenny Omega, when he did it, he had 3. Granted, he technically had 4 because he had the extra TNA title, which, is helping Margaret. I wasn't the biggest fan of him holding that extra TNA title. It was just kind of... Let's bring old Kenny here. What Kenny should we use? We'll use this Kenny. Now, I understand why they're doing this matchup because it is the 2 biggest women's stars in the company. And we've beat around the bush a little bit too many times in AEW's history to where we've had 2 massive stars and they didn't get to compete against one another. And again, this is the biggest show of the year. You need a big time matchup. And with the case of Mercedes Moné, she's already faced a lot of people on this roster already. So I'm not going to say she hasn't faced literally everybody, but she's went through a lot of people over the past year. Toni Storm kind of has as well, but I feel that she's been tied into a longer term storyline compared to Mercedes Moné. Granted, you can't really talk about that other storyline. You could, but people, going to be side-eyeing and everything. Point being, I don't want the women's championship lumped into this belt collector, all these other titles, and making it seem a little bit irrelevant. Or just another title. It definitely wouldn't be irrelevant. That's kind of a bad word judgment there. I'm picking Toni Storm to win, and I'm hoping Toni Storm wins. And, also, Mercedes Moné ain't lost in, her whole AEW run. At the big show of the year against the biggest women's star in the company, I do think it's time. It's time for a change. Granted, I came here last month or 2 months ago and said that Jamie Hayter should have won. Still feel that way, but you got to kind of get over it. I'm picking Toni Storm to win and hoping Toni Storm wins. Now, unified world title match, guaranteed title change. Unless they went to a time limit draw, which I don't think that they have that in them. The continental and international titles are on the line. The winner becomes the first unified champion. Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega. It is weird because I've been going back and forth on this matchup. Thing one, the last time that these 2 men had a one-on-one matchup, I want to give y'all a fun fact. I stayed up all night. It was 6-ish, 7 o'clock in the morning when it got done. It was the 2 out of 3 falls match. I had a wrestling show to go to that night. So I remember that day very blurry, but I remember staying up to watch that and I'm like, oh my God, I got to wake up and watch the wrestling show, which I'll give y'all the main event of that show. I want to mind blow y'all. It was a SmackDown live house show. The main event was a fatal 4-way United States title match. Jeff Hardy defending against The Miz, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Samoa Joe. And I will admit something that does have me a bit salty about that is that AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan were both announced initially for the show and were not there. So, but it's a long ass time ago. Now, again, I just want to get that fun fact out of the way. I've been thinking about that for a majority of this build. I thought for the longest time that this would be the biggest match on the show. And I don't really think that's the case. I think that I do think that they spend a lot of time doing backstage segments and backstage vignettes and backstory histories on this matchup, which, again, I'm not that against that because there's some people that probably didn't know about their history, which if you didn't, I don't know what the fuck y'all are doing, but granted, I understand it. I think it hurt the match a little bit because we haven't seen much interaction between the two. We also kind of know this match was going to happen here because you remember when Kenny came back and you could see in the background the big All In banner. They're like, I guess that's when that's going to happen. So we've kind of known about this since December. Granted, we didn't know the title implications of everything, but you get that point. I feel this match should be a bigger deal, and I don't think it is the biggest deal on the show. Now, me saying this, that doesn't mean, it's not that big of a deal. I think there's probably a lot of ways I could compare it, but I think the easiest way and the one that comes to my mind is LeBron and Curry. In the 2010s, LeBron and Curry gave us some crazy-ass playoff matchups. LeBron and KD, if you want to, I can't say that because obviously the 2016 finals was the peak where KD and LeBron didn't always put on the greatest finals when they competed against each other in the playoffs. So you understand what I'm getting at. But LeBron and Curry is more so the rivalry. So, backtracking. There's been some times to where it wasn't the biggest deal, but they've also had times where it was the biggest deal. And to this day, they're still competing against each other. Every couple weeks, we got it on Christmas last year when LeBron and Curry were going back at one another, and that was a great-ass Christmas Day game. That is my comparison for this matchup. They might not be the Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada of 2018, but I still think there's still some things there left in the tank, and that they could turn back the clock for their greatest rivals. And I think that that's what is supposed to be built here. So I think that is the comparison that's been sticking in my mind. Now, again, the other thing is I don't know who's going to win. This is one that I've been going back and forth on, because I thought for the longest time that Kenny would win because Okada's had the Continental title for so long and it's time to do something else and do something different. And again, it's one of those things where Okada's very rarely lost in AEW, and this would be a time for him to lose. But I don't know if I can necessarily say I for certainly see Okada losing. I think because I want to see Okada do something. I don't know. Everything I want to say kind of supports Okada winning, but my main prediction and the moment that this match was announced, I expected Omega to win. That's kind of my main thing. It's all my arguments are for Okada to win, but it's kind of F it, I'm throwing it away and picking Omega to win, if that makes sense. So I'm really going to think about it. We're going to get to the end of this game and I'll make my prediction. And then we got obviously one more match to go through. So we got 3 people left. Who should I pick? Who am I picking? I think they added Don Callis to this, but I'm going to give y'all a random ass comparison. It very much feels like WrestleMania X7 when they added Deborah into the build of that, but once the match happened, they're get the fuck out of here. We don't need this. I hope that's the realization they come to there, because it kind of felt very random and, to be honest, not needed. But I somewhat understand it. Also, glad Kota Ibushi is back. Also, maybe Omega should lose, and we get a Golden Lovers tag title run. Maybe that kind of is helping my. I don't. Kota Ibushi should be in that Casino Gauntlet, by the way. I don't think he will be. He'll probably accompany Omega to the ring. Like I said, everything that all my arguments are kind of leaning towards me picking Okada, but I think I'm gonna make the smart pick, or not even the smart pick. Because it's not really, because I'm going back and forth. Don't really know who to pick. I will say I'm gonna pick Omega to win this, but I wouldn't be the surprised if Okada won. That's my old catchphrase where I make my prediction, I write down who my prediction is, and then I say I can see the other person winning as well. As Christian is cheesing like a MFer. Normally the computer is not that damn smart. So we got one more match to talk about. This is one of the most talked about matches in internet wrestling history, if you just want me to be honest. Now, I will say, some of the AEW fans online, aka on Twitter, I think sometimes y'all need to, calm down a little bit. Take a breather. There's more important things to worry about. But we got one more match to talk about as of right now for the AEW World Championship. In a Texas death match, Jon Moxley defending against Hangman Adam Page. And again, this is another matchup I've been going back and forth on who the hell is winning. A lot of people have compared this to Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns 1 and 2, which is understandable. Who is winning? I am going to pick Hangman Page. I'm marking it that I'm picking Hangman Page. I will say that. But a lot of what I'm going to be saying is fantasy booking and hypotheticals. I will say that. Because, again, a lot of this has been wishful thinking and hypothetical fantasy booking and fuck yous to people that are not there. If I was fantasy, look, this is what I was getting at. I'm going all over the place with this. I am not one of those people that are like, Moxley has to lose. I'm not one of those people. I know that a lot of people are like that, and a lot of people think Hangman has to win. I understand why people think that. I understand that sentiment. I will say, and I will counter it with saying, Hangman definitely deserves another shot with the AEW World title. Because he had a great story to win it the first time, and then he was finally champion, and people cared about something else. And that other thing that they cared about, they really pushed and wanted that to overshadow the World Championship. And Hangman kind of got fucked over there. Granted, I'm going to go back and say, I was somebody that was defending Hangman his whole first world title run. I thought he had a great world title run. I remember a lot of people saying, oh, it was underwhelming and kind of sucked. I'm not one of those people. I love that Texas Death Match versus Lance Archer. The Bryan Danielson Hangman, and he had some good-ass matches with Adam Cole as well. I loved, and he had that match with Kenosuke Takeshita on TV. I don't think that was for the title, but he's still champion. You get the point. I do think he deserves another world title run. And we're right there at it. I understand that. But there's a lot of... All right, the elephant in the room. Y'all about to see the man. I don't like that I said that. Eddie Kingston is my picture. But y'all about to see the elephant in the room. Dun, dun, dun. So, Darby has been gone from AEW TV since December. He climbed Mount Everest. I, again, don't really know why that was the biggest deal in that whole circumstances, but from everything that I understand, it happened. It's over and done with. A lot of people, again, are fantasy booking. Thing one, this is the main thing I will say. This is one, I've been talking about things that have been bothering me, talking about all this and whatnot. Thing one, Sting, I love you. Please don't get involved in this because a lot of people are saying Darby and Sting should come out and help Hangman. Sting does not have to be involved with this. If it was Darby winning, Sting should be involved. And, if and when that time comes, Sting should be involved. So that's just me getting something off my chest. Now, backtracking. I think this is fantasy booking and things that I could see happening. Thing one, and this is going to be the big red flag. This is going to be the, oh shit, what the fuck's happening? Now, every one of Moxley's title matches has main evented on pay-per-view in this reign. Full Gear, World's End, which, could I just say that World's End, the main event should have been Okada and Ospreay. How the hell it wasn't, I still don't know. But Moxley, all of his world title matches have been the main event. Revolution, Dynasty. Now, Double or Nothing wasn't, but it wasn't a world title match. So I will say that. I don't know why now exactly they would change that and wouldn't have Moxley go on last to defend the world title, especially with the biggest show of the year, because that would kind of be ass backwards thinking. But I will say, if this match was not the main event, and I can understand it because they have all those other matches, you could say the Moxley match was the biggest match on the show, or outside of World's Ending. I literally said that just 5 seconds ago. But you get the point. Okada and Omega is a massive match. And again, every time that they've wrestled, they have main evented. And you guarantee to get a title change there. So I can somewhat understand it. But again, it kind of be ass backwards to just now change that. But, like I said, if this match is not the main event, that is a red ass flag. Now, a lot of people have been down and depressed about this world title reign. I have just kind of been watching from afar and not been as that invested or, crying. Because there's been legitimately people crying about this. Like, it is wrestling at the end of the day. But you get the point to where, Now, me fantasy booking, and the reason I was saying this is I think there's a scenario to where Moxley retains. We had the segment tonight on Collision that was somewhat important, but I do hate that, I don't think everybody watched Collision and was like completely locked into that. And there are so many people that could get thrown into this matchup and thrown into this shit that we don't know what the fuck to expect. That is the great thing. When you're going into this shit and you don't know what you're expecting, I do like that. It's very rare that we're getting that. And this is one of those situations and matchups to where it is like that. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Now, the segment on Collision, what I was getting at is we kind of think that Swerve is on Hangman's side, but, I'm an overthinker, and, I don't think that he's on his side. Again, I know that, we're kind of supposed to think that, but I don't think he's on his side. Now, the main thing that I was saying is you got to know if Hangman is to lose. Obviously, the big word there is if. If Hangman loses, you got to know what the fuck you're doing with him next. Because the last time he was world champion and he lost, they didn't really know what the fuck they were doing with him. And it kind of fucked him over. Which is, again, the point I was trying to argue and make there. So you got to know what the hell you're doing with Hangman if he loses. Now, that's where I think Swerve, again, comes into play. And I think because I already picked Hangman to win. But I think there's a scenario to where Swerve, we get all these people coming out, the Ops, the Death Riders, the Jack Perrys, the Hooks, the Brian, we got all these people coming out. There are two that are important that they don't come out. But they come out and they get involved in the match. I think Swerve is an X factor here and matters. Because I think the scenario that I'm trying to present to y'all is that Swerve is coming out to help Hangman and ends up costing him, whether it be accidental or on purpose. I see a scenario with both. And then Moxley wins. And then Darby, because the scenario that I have in my mind, and I've had in my mind, to be honest, since Double or Nothing, is that Hangman loses, and then Darby makes his big return, and he has Bryan Danielson with him. Because, again, they should come back. And I think that it will be here. And the comparison that I will make is Royal Rumble 2015, where so many people were mad to see Roman Reigns win, and The Rock suddenly was there, and the whole idea was presented that he was there, that way the fans would stop booing Roman or not boo Roman, which didn't, that still happened. Where that's the scenario I see. I don't, this is the hard part, because I don't know if the fans are going to turn on Darby. That's the online fan base will, because they already have, and we haven't seen the man. Now, the thing that I will argue and say and understand that I respect is that they have not name-dropped Darby. And to be honest, they shouldn't. Because they are trying to present the idea of that we've forgotten about Darby, and whenever he comes back, it's going to be a big deal and a big return. But I also don't really know why, and again, this is just me overthinking. I don't know why he would come out to help Hangman win when he is somebody that wants the world title and wants to bring the Death Riders down, which again, goes hand in hand. So, my fantasy booking is Swerve cost Hangman. We continue their saga, which I think people might be tired of. People might not want to see that. I can understand that. I don't know what the fuck we're getting. That is my point here. I've picked Hangman because I genuinely think if he was to lose, it completely fucks him over, and it fucks over your audience that is tuned in and wants Hangman to win. And there's a shit ton of that. But the whole thing that I've been presenting for like the last 10 minutes is I do see a world in a scenario where Moxley wins to set up this Darby saga that will be taking place over the coming weeks. Which one I see happening, I see a scenario where both does. But I just think it would be a bit crazy if Hangman... I'm expecting Hangman to win. If this matchup takes place in the middle of the show, I think Moxley's going to win in that scenario where Darby and Danielson come out to make the save, just so, And I don't think people would walk away from seeing Omega and Okada in the main event. I know people were mad and saying they'll never watch again. If you're to leave and not watch Okada and Omega for potentially the last time and the first time ever in the U.S., you've really fucked over a bunch of people. So I'll probably comment more thoughts on it down below, but that's just, when Hangman won at Double or Nothing, that was kind of what I had fantasy booked in the back of my head. But now we're here, and so many people are like dead ass set on Hangman winning. He has to win. It has to be him. Granted, they did say the same thing about Swerve. Some said it about Adam Copeland. Some even said about Powerhouse Hobbs on that one matchup that happened on Maximum Carnage Dynamite. That was the special. But you get the point that I'm making. So I've been talking for over an hour. My voice is starting to go out. I can't say I'm starting to sweat. I've been sweating. So if anything is added or changed, as always, I'll try my best to comment my thoughts on it down below. Because I already talked to y'all for 70 minutes over about this shit. So I do appreciate y'all all watching this. I got to get the exact timestamp. So I'm excited to see what the hell happens. There's a lot of wrestling going on this weekend. There's a lot of basketball going on this weekend as well, because Summer League just started, obviously, as well. So I'll see y'all when I see y'all, because I'll comment my thoughts on some extra things down below. So I'm out for now. Goodbye. I'm cutting my fan back on. See ya.